Murder by Death is a Neil Simon play later adapted into a 1976 film with a pretty big ensemble cast. And it's a fun, enjoyable mystery, whodunit, Agatha Christie sort of thing. And essentially, it's a spoof of detective things from back then and times before. Notably, what they decide to make fun of is Charlie Chan, Sam Spade, like the Humphrey Bogart stuff, and some Dashiell Hammett things. So ultimately, what the movie doesn't have going for it, I should say, is just how dated it is in terms of its usage of comedy. Because let's face it, this movie has not aged well. The movie relies a lot on blatant racism, cultural stereotypes, sexism, and it's things like that that really, even by I'm not really one that's very PC, but the way that some of the things in this movie were handled, even I cringed quite a few times. So, yeah, this was, as I said, it was back in 1976, where people weren't so easily offended back then. But still, there's people like Archie Bunker and, Sanford and Son and Mel Brooks. But then there's Murder by Death, in which what they make fun of isn't funny all the time. So, yeah, the movie's storyline, the whole Clue sort of aspect to it, like the movie Clue and the game board Clue, or the board game Clue, sorry. All that stuff it actually is pretty good, and the acting by most is pretty good too. But eventually we get to see some, well, not eventually, right away we get to see Peter Sellers as a yellowface. Yes, that actually was a term and a thing way back when. He's essentially a spoof of Charlie Chan. And the difference is Peter Sellers is actually worse than a couple of different guys that have played Charlie Chan over the years. Then there's James Cromwell in his big film debut, who does an absolutely terrible job playing a Frenchman. The guy who he's the sidekick for also puts on a French accent, but he's actually not that bad. And then there's Peter Falk, who plays the Sam Spade sort of character, and he is not bad, but he's not good either. He's just his Humphrey Bogart sort of lisp style. Really, it's really put on. I'm sorry. So I get what they were trying to go for in Murder by Death. It's making fun of all these detective things from way back when. Like, as I said, they make fun of Charlie Chan, Sam Spade, other Dashiell Hammett things. But if they were to remake this, they should essentially just, do this on some nowadays stage things. They should get better people to portray the French, because Cromwell was friggin' bad in it. But also, I think that they should completely change the Sidney Wang character, who is the Charlie Chan spoof. Now, to me, personally, I think that yellowface is probably the most offensive thing for someone of a different race to try to pass as. Now, when Peter Sellers was brownface in the movie The Parody, it was pretty quick before we were able to see past everything and just absorb everything. And Peter Sellers was really good in that one. Plus, there's when Laurence Olivier did Othello, Now, with black people, that's also a big risk because black people have different physical features than white people do. But still, in the case of when Laurence Olivier did Othello, his talented acting, the serious nature of everything, and the good makeup aspect was enough for us to really see past everything and forgive what was happening within a few minutes. But a lot of the guys that have played Charlie Chan in the past, and Peter Sellers himself in Murder by Death, is freaking terrible. The reason I think that the Asian cultural stereotype, like when white people play him, is because of the eyes and the way that they caricature the teeth and the skin and the broken English. Yeah, to me the physical facial features are too when a white person comes across to do that, it's too cringe, it's too fake. That's why some other sort of cultures, it's easier and it's not as offensive because it's easier to do to get away with and do correctly. And it's it really bummed me out that Peter Sellers was one of the low points in the film because he's one of my favorite actors ever, not just in comedy. Like, think about it, he was screwed out of an Oscar win for Dr. Strangelove. He really should have got more glory and recognition in the Pink Panther movies. He was fantastic in being there. And all the guys that have played Inspector Clouseau over the years, they can't even lick Peter Sellers' shoes. That's how good Sellers is. But he was the worst aspect of the movie. There were some good aspects of the movie, don't get me wrong. Like, the whole storyline, all that stuff was good. The twists were good. The best performance, I would say, would be by Alec Guinness. David Niven was good. I haven't really cared for David Niven things. Like, I haven't seen a whole lot of things of his, but most of the things that I've seen, I just haven't really cared for. But yeah, the person that gives the best performance in the movie would probably be Alec Guinness. And Truman Capote is also here, and it's cool seeing him in this. He's not in a whole lot of the film, but seeing Truman Capote in such a big named film by Neil Simon, it's worth seeing him just to be like, hey, I saw Truman Capote in a feature film. That's really where it ends for Capote's stuff. And yeah, there's nothing more to say, unfortunately. So yeah, I do feel like giving Murder by Death from 1976 2 stars out of 4.